Hello, listeners. This is the Dream Stream. I am your host, Yiskah Koock, here with my fellow dream worker, Ellen Ronis. And want to start by saying I'm very excited for this because Ellen had said to me the other day on the phone, "Oh, I don't think I told you about the big, beautiful bird dream." And just like the alliteration, the idea of it, the imagination of it really captured me. So can we just jump right in?
Yeah, dive right in. Me with my silly baseball cap on.
I love it. I love it.
Hair under here. Okay, and then I just saw another dream that I had even more recently than that. But okay, I'm gonna tell you the
big beautiful bird
dream. Okay. Itchy nose. So I'm gonna just tell it as I remember it. My brother and sister and I are in New York City, and we are on a street corner. And my sister decides to go across the street. So my brother and I wait on the corner. She crosses the street, and the idea is that she's going to do a little performance, like a song or something. And suddenly, before she could actually, do anything, there's a bird starts kind of pecking at her heels. And I don't really see the bird somehow so well, but I just know it's a bird. It doesn't, and it's kind of pecking at her heels. And then all of a sudden the bird, I see the bird, and it's enormous. And it reminds me of like a pelican. It has that kind of funny long beak, that kind of funny head and the long beak, but the body is kind of stockier than what I know of as a pelican. But it was huge. I mean, insanely larger than life, like 3 times the size of a human person. And it comes up behind her. And I should say that my sister is wearing a wig, like a red-haired wig that looks very much like it's from the 20s. And that is actually based on something in Waking Life, which I'll say later. But and the bird comes behind her and opens its wingspan. And of course, the wingspan is ridiculously enormous. And it takes her, it wraps its wings around her.
Oh
and it starts to lift up off the ground. Like, it doesn't have its wings because it's, to fly. So it just starts to kind of propel itself up off the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, my eyes are like wide in amazement. Oh, and by the way, the bird has like stripes on it, like not like a beautiful colored bird. It was like literally, it was literally stripes, like as if it was painted on. And it was these weird colors. Like, it reminded me of like an old, like a hand knitted sweater from the 1970s or something like that. Some teenage girl made for her boyfriend. And it was hideous. It was like mustard colored and bright orange and like a bright royal blue, like weird colors that are not necessarily colors I prefer. But it was all these stripes. And but it was beautiful. Like, it was, in a way, it just had like this incredible, majestic, unusual, unique beauty. And so there's my sister wrapped around, and you can't see her. And I frantically like ran up to the bird, and I was like, Karen, that's my sister. I was like, it's going to be okay. Just keep breathing. And I can't see her, but I'm talking to her like through the wings. I was like, just keep breathing. Just breathe in and out. Like, I'm giving her this whole breathing thing, like thinking that was going to rescue her.
I'm sorry.
And then let's see. Sorry, I just want to see what happens after that, and I'm not remembering. Just breathe. Oh, and then the bird just kind of lowered back down and released her, and she seemed like fine and unharmed. And I think that was it. That was it. That was the dream.
So I do have clarifying questions, but
sure,
let's try to have some sort of order. So how did you, we'll start with, do you have a title for this dream? I just want to call it the big beautiful bird.
Yeah, let's just call it the big
That's what I'm naming this episode as well, because
The
I just,
bird wears the sweater. I don't know. I'm not good at the names for some reason. Don't come easily to me, but
how
yeah.
did you feel when you woke up?
How did I feel? I think I was like, wow. I think I was like in amazement somehow.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty, um, I was definitely frightened in the dream a little bit, but more
Yes.
like wide-eyed, like,
Yes.
wow. Like, yeah, I think when I woke up, I was like, whoa, that was pretty wild,
That
pretty
was
cool.
trippy.
So I don't know what that feeling exactly is,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
more than curious, like
The absurdity of it.
yeah, but it didn't feel absurd. It
My
felt,
my projection.
yeah, I felt
I have
amazed,
another
I guess I'm going to say amazed and wow,
amazing.
like I
Yeah.
was wowed by it somehow. Yeah, like
So
it felt really meaningful.
did the
It,
bird have long legs? I'm trying to picture its legs. You know,
no,
the
it
bird
didn't
has
really.
about its legs.
It didn't really have long legs. It just
You
looked like a
said
regular bird, just
pelican.
bigger. Yeah. No, it
Big.
didn't have like long, like those kind of
Okay.
legs.
It wasn't like a flamingo or like
Not a
heron.
flamingo, no. And
Okay.
pelicans don't really have long legs. They have,
Yeah,
regular.
pelican. Yeah. The bulldogs of the bird world.
Yeah, and it did have a sort of a stocky body, just,
Yeah.
but the pelican. And I did look up pelican medicine. It's just
Oh,
such a
yeah.
bird that I would never even think of. Of course, I think of, the hawk and the eagle and all
Yes,
this
the
like
totem, the high flying.
spiritually
Yeah.
connected birds. And so I looked it up and it said all sorts of different things, depending on which website. So I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can really believe any of this because they all said quite different things. But let's see. It said it could mean diving deep in and finding stillness. That was one of the meanings. And I thought,
Well,
oh,
that's lovely. I'll take it.
okay. I don't know. I don't know. It
Yeah.
felt very magical. It
Yeah.
felt
I mean,
really
I
very
guess
magical.
it's going to come down to your personal associations with pelican, which
That,
are, what
yeah.
are your associations?
None. I have like really no, I mean, I really looked at that and I was like, I don't have and I was surprised that it was a pelican in my dream because I don't
Yeah.
have
Oh,
any real,
okay. Because that's not a familiar
I guess,
totem.
I guess the only thing I can think of is in my recent trip to San Diego,
Oh, yeah.
at La Jolla Beach, there's a sort of a walkway
Oh,
and
yeah. I
you
have a
look
friend
over,
from La Jolla.
and you look over, the sort of walkway fence and there are all the seals and stuff. There are all these birds. There were like thousands of birds. And
Oh,
I don't know
gorgeous.
what, there were some pelicans, but these birds weren't that. And so maybe in my mind, I somehow put them together.
Yes.
And so maybe it's reminiscent of some place that I love dearly, that I
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
love. So I really love San Diego. I want to move there.
Yes.
Like I really want to move there.
You're you're diving deep.
Yeah. So who knows?
As
Yeah.
pelican. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Hmm.
So I think maybe we'll move there together.
Maybe. I'll be able to afford that. I can't
I
imagine.
I know that's
That's what holds me back. Is like, whoa.
that, the wildfires and the water, the
The
drugs.
the wildfires don't really affect San Diego. They haven't so far
That's
really affected
true.
San Diego. So
I mean, LA, there were fires as south as
there's-
LA, so.
there were, but LA is 3 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it is, 2 hours south, north rather.
North,
And
okay.
they haven't been affected so far. They had a little smoke once last year, but really
Okay.
nothing that bad. And
To know.
they do get rain and in the spring, and it's just kind of
Okay.
the way I love it.
Yeah.
So any more questions?
So, well, I have an association. I mean, it's more of a projection. So I'm interested in, if this is my dream, it feels like something is being said about the ages. My sister's wearing that red wig from the 20s.
Mhm.
And then I think you say something about, what was it? Something that evoked the 40s, but now I'm not remembering what that was.
Oh, the sweater that evoked
Oh yeah, the
70s.
colors, the 70s. Oh, not the 40s, the 70s, the stripes
Yeah.
and the orange and green and kind of not so I also very much love the juxtaposition of that ugly, acrylic knit sweater and then calling it the big beautiful bird. It's big and it's majestic, right? And it's beautiful, but it's also stuck in a certain,
Oh, that's
stage.
interesting.
And so then I'm thinking, is there anything in common, a commonality between the 1970s and the 1920s? Let's just riff on that for a moment. Those were the two decades that Dreamer brought up.
Well, I will just to clarify, and I said that I would clarify this when I was telling the dream, is that my sister was in a play recently. My sister's an actress, and she and both my brother, they were in a local production of The Drowsy Chaperone, which I have no idea what that play is about at all. But in any case, it takes place in that period of time, and so the wig that she was wearing in the dream is the wig that she actually wore in the play.
Oh,
and it just happened. So
is it a play from the 1920s?
I think so. I actually didn't see the play because obviously they're in New York and I'm here in Santa Fe.
Yes.
But I saw pictures. She posted pictures, and it looked like very much the 20s.
Okay.
Like, she had, it looked very much like from the 20s. So I'm guessing the 20s or 30s maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I personally have an association, but I will say if I were to think about that, like it was that whole flapper thing, and like there was a lot. I think it was kind of like a freedom. Everybody like coming off almost like this Victorian age where everybody was all buttoned up and corseted up, and then all of a sudden they were wearing these shift dresses, right? Those long narrow dresses, and there was more freedom and fringy, and the whole, that whole
and prohibition was happening.
Right.
So there was little joints that you could smoke a joint, now that you could drink a drink,
little gin joints and
gin joint,
and like jazz
and so the 1970s, just coming off the 1960s, so where I would think of the 60s as more finally free from all of my parents and further back generations mores, their cultural, and then people were just self-expression. Maybe that's a commonality. People could express themselves, people could dance, drink, have fun. And similarly in the 70s, although
it could be, it could
disco music, it wasn't.
Well, like, the 70s were like, it was different than the 60s, but it was definitely kind of still part of that. I mean, I remember that as, in 1970, I was 10. So, I do remember.
That's my birth year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do remember, the sort of feeling of peace and love, and wearing my floppy suede hat and my bell bottoms, and
your ugly striped sweater.
I was really into the whole peasant shirt thing, but I don't know where I did not own a sweater like that, but the colors were
60s.
The colors were definitely familiar to me. The colors felt like something
orange
like
and
that I had.
I don't even know if you said orange and green.
I think I did. Well, I think I said orange, and orange and like mustard yellow, like that really awful mustardy yellow and orange.
I absolutely have a memory of my mom was an artist, and she did this thing in the pool table room where she put thick tape, around the room, and then she painted stripes, follow with the paint. And I think she used that green and that orange.
It was very popular combination. It was, that's why that was like 70s. It reminded me of that. So
beautiful.
The 20s, the 20s didn't really have like much meaning, except that it was like my sister had just been in this play.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there was something more, it was more about that than I think about the actual time period. I mean, it's fun to riff on it, but I don't think that was the meaning for me. And I guess maybe, for listeners, that's what's fun about dream, discussions of dreams, is that maybe that doesn't really have a meaning, but maybe it does. And so it's, like it could be like, oh, I never thought about that actually as meaning, or that's fun, but I don't think that's what it really means. But so it's always
Right.
good to have the conversations and
Yeah, I
open up
agree,
to other options. So
100%.
yeah.
So then I would ask, what qualities of my sister, the performer version of her, do I feel like I also emulate, or
Hmm.
do I also like to act?
Hmm.
Are you an actress?
Hmm.
You dabble in all the other arts, I feel.
I do dabble in all the other arts, and interestingly, because my sister and I, when we were very young, we love each other a lot now, but when we were very young, we didn't.
Yes.
And basically, I kind of, whatever she was, I wasn't. You know what I mean? Like I purpose almost consciously, kind of
Yeah.
semi-consciously, just decided, okay, she's that, I'm going to be something else.
Yeah.
And she always was sort of theatrical and into theater. And kind of drama and theater. And so I wasn't, but I was in some of the plays, but it wasn't really my thing. I was just more
Okay.
like athletic, and I was more into
Mhm.
dance and art and
Were
other,
you very close in age? Are you very close in
yes,
age?
yes,
Yeah.
less, yeah, 2 years apart. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty close. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't know what else, just, yeah. So, right. If she's a part of me, maybe there was something about her separating from us, like the three siblings. She separates from us and she goes across the street. She's still close to us, but
Yeah.
she's there and she's going to do a thing, and we're there. We're going to support her.
Yeah.
So if I could say, well, that's me, then maybe, there's a part of me that either wants the support of my siblings to just
Okay.
express myself,
Yeah.
to be whoever I am, that's unique and
Yes.
creative, and that I want my siblings to be there, or the people close to me,
And the
to
community is community theater. Yes.
Mhm.
That's
Yes.
within the dream.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes.
So maybe there's something to that, like wanting to be kind of seen in the full expression of myself.
Love it.
And then why am I getting taken by this big bird? It feels okay. Here's the juice for me.
Yes.
It feels like there's a transformation that happens inside the bird. That when the
Oh,
bird has its
almost like a
wings around
cocoon.
my sister, who always in my dreams, by the way, when I dream with my sister in my dreams, she's really like I always called her my alter ego, but it's really just like it's like a really intimate other part of myself. Oh,
Yes.
like that's really how I feel when it's her in my dream,
Okay.
that there's a real intimate, like other side of myself. I mean, all dreams, I believe, like have that reflection, like each
Yes.
piece of the dream is a piece of yourself.
Yes.
Maybe that's one way to look at it.
It
But I
is
do really
lovely.
feel like when she's in the dream specifically, that it's some very intimate part of myself. Maybe it's a part that I'm not in touch with, or it feels
That's really so interesting.
like something I don't see very easily, but I can somehow see it better when I see it as a reflection in her.
Yes.
So if she's me, then I'm going to say the bird's wings wrap around me.
Yes.
And something happens in there. Something happens, like I get shaken up. I get pulled up into the, a little bit out,
It's like
something out.
levitating almost.
Yeah, it was almost like a
It
levitation.
wasn't flapping. It's wings.
And it didn't go very high, and it was like we'll say big and beautiful, but it was, it was so magical, because it was like there's no bird that looks like that, it was just this colorful thing. I just had a thought, actually, because
Oh,
when I wrote the dream down, I remember thinking it's almost as if somebody painted it with stripes.
that's why I
So
was talking about my mom's
yes.
thing
Oh
around
yeah.
the room. The stripe.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the association.
It
Yeah.
reminds me
So,
of that. Yeah,
and I'm an artist, so I'm painting, like I've painted the stripes, on the bird. I mean,
exactly.
and my
I
sister
am the stripes.
actor. Yeah, so it's almost like I'm surrounded in some part of my own creation,
I
and
like
I'm wanting
that.
to express and create. I don't know, something happened in there, in the wings, in the wing hug, that I can feel that something happened in there to
Do
her.
you know there is a reference to God or more, not really a reference, but in the Jewish Bible, that we are in the eagle's wings, in the wings of God. So that's actually a very deep idea, that then there's this transformation. So what do I feel like is the transformation from what to what?
That's a beautiful question, and that is the question, I think.
Yeah.
So I did have some reflections on this dream that I wrote. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it was something about the colorful sort of sweater on the bird representing some new version of myself where I get to like be without the old story, whatever the story is. Tell stories about ourselves. We come to conclusions, about ourselves when we're young, and when something happens to us, we say, well, I don't deserve that, or I'm unworthy of love, or money is always going to be a problem, or whatever
It's like the broken record.
The broken record, exactly. And I've been really
our generation. Kids today will not know the reference.
Oh, the record. Yeah, they're coming back, so I think they might.
Oh, I'm so glad about that.
Yeah, they are. Records are definitely coming back.
I don't have my collection anymore. That was always like a hope for in a partner. I hope he has a big record collection.
We have a record player too, which I
exactly. Good speakers.
Excuse me.
Did you want to, I know you were saying you had a more recent dream. Do you feel there's a connection between this?
I just wanted to say also, I'm reading some of the reflections that I wrote.
Yes.
Sorry.
No problem.
It was something about taking a risk too. It was like something about taking risks. Like my sister was taking a risk, performing. And so maybe, so I'm not something about transforming, pardon me. From perhaps the part of me that keeps myself down a little bit because I tell myself some stories about who I think I am or who I think I'm not, or what I think I'm capable of, to somebody who's willing to take a risk and be seen in the colorfulness.
I love that.
In the crazy wig and the colorfulness and I like that as an interpretation.
I like that too. But the confusion for me then would be my sister's performing, and after performance, she goes in the pelican wing.
She doesn't really get to do anything. She just goes across the street, and there's the bird that starts kind of pecking at her, irritating her, pecking at her, and then it suddenly becomes this big bird and takes her in. She doesn't actually perform or sing or do anything.
Okay.
She's going to do that, but she doesn't actually do it.
And now she'll be able to, because she has
transformed. I guess that's the thing. If I am her, I'm about to do something risky, but I'm, maybe having my concerns, and then I get into this like this embrace of this magical creature who sort of shakes me up a little bit and changes the vibration and then puts me down, and then perhaps I'm like, oh, I see in color now,
Yes. So here's a question. Do you have any Afghans like from that era? Your mom knit, or your grandma?
No, I did used to have one whatever happened to that blanket from my grandma? I don't have that anymore. Wow, I wonder, I thought I had that. Anyway, no, I don't. I used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still do.
You still do.
Because, it's just comfortable. It's like,
fun to keep those things. I know I had one from my grandma. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, I think my mom has it.
Oh, perfect.
I think I wanted to take it. I think she's keeping it for safekeeping for me, but I always loved it. It's so acrylic and horrible.
Exactly. So many of them are. I think all of mine are. But
Yeah.
okay, so do you still want to stay on the big beautiful? But I don't want to
Right.
cut you short. I just want to see if there's
Thank
a
you.
similarity with the other dream.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it. No, I think that thanks for letting me, I really, I like to dig deep in. So
Like a
I think that
pelican.
felt, yeah, that felt good. That, what? What did you say about the
I
pelican?
said like a pelican.
Oh yeah, they do. Do they dig or they,
Oh, dive deep.
right, they do, they dive deep. That's right.
Yeah. This. Oh, you said dig. I thought you said dive.
Well, dig, dive deep.
Same metaphor, same thing it's trying to project to us
Yeah.
metaphorically. So, well, thank you so much, Ellen.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's
And
fun sharing your dream. And
yeah, just looking at this other dream, I don't know that there's a connection, but there are colorful clothes, so maybe there's a
oh,
connection.
yeah, maybe let's hear it if you don't mind.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna read it because I don't remember the details.
Okay.
I'm in a college and I'm my age, but everybody around me is college age. Um, and I'm staying in in a dorm, and one young woman is telling me that she had just gotten a volunteer job at a restaurant nearby that I'd never heard of. And it was very specific. Her hours were 5:30 to 11. And it was somehow part of her college credits. I wanted to check out the restaurant, so I went to an elevator, which she showed me how to do because I didn't know. It was almost like I'm the old person and I don't know how to do like elevators, so that was the
Is
feeling.
that some newfangled technology?
Newfangled, press the button. How do you do this? And I was supposed to get off at the 5th floor, but I got off at the 6th accidentally. And each floor was like a whole town. Like it didn't
Okay.
feel like a floor above, it's like you get off and you're on a ground level, like new town.
Interesting.
And this neighborhood was like there was a man's department store, and there was a man in the like a sales clerk who was I presumed he was gay. He was very flamboyant,
Uh-huh.
and he was modeling this brightly colored silk shirt that had a cowl, like a wide open cowl neck, and it was like bright reds and purples. Are you?
I'm sorry, he was modeling.
He was like wearing this thing, but he was modeling it like, this is a shirt that we have for sale.
So he was all right.
Wearing it. He was wearing a shirt that was silk, brightly colored red and purple flowers, and it had like a sort of a cowl neck. It was very feminine, actually, and it was very.
Okay.
Also felt like a dress from the 50s. It's interesting. I'm having all these ages, different.
Yes, I think it is interesting.
Yeah, and it was very, very sort of girly kind of thing, but but he was wearing it, and it was very effeminate. And then he starts
quite like a bird.
In a way, he was. Yes, he was. He was.
I mean,
yes.
I'm just thinking of peacocks. They put the display of their beauty.
Yes, yes, and he was very, in that way, very. He was very flamboyant for sure. And he starts to show me things like men's clothing, and I pretend that I'm still married. I don't know why I'm doing that, because he's selling me clothes for my husband. And he's like, oh, he's going to love these. And he shows me these different funky glasses and like, not watches, but other sort of like accoutrement, like shirts and stuff. And oh, he's going to love this. And he's putting together like this whole really like exotic outfit that my ex-husband would in a million years not wear. And I actually had a ring on, and I turned it around to make it look like a band, that he thought I was married. And even in the dream, I was like, why am I pretending to be married? It was just so weird.
Well, that's
even in the dream, I felt weird about doing that.
Sure.
And I didn't know why I was doing it. So a lot of interesting things, a lot of different pieces of this, being in college, sort of being my age with young people. And I really enjoyed being with young people. Like I was really enjoying the youth.
That's interesting. That's, I think, a big clue for where your work is taking you. With whom.
Yeah.
So Ellen, I think that this dream is really food for thought. And think on it. And if it's still really strong with you, next week, if we talk, we can do it in the next dream stream.
Begin a little. Okay, sure.
Yeah, just want to give it the time that
Thank
I do
you.
not have right now.
Yeah.
So
You don't have time right now. Is that what you're saying?
now I am thinking of the listeners' time, really.
Oh, yeah.
But
Gotcha.
yeah. So thank you for joining us, listeners. And thank you, Ellen. It was a great dream that you shared.
Thank you.
And I hope that people enjoyed this. And I hope you will have sweet dreams. Holamod Metukim.